We know that there are a ton of differences between North Korea and South Korea, but we're going to focus on what life is like for their citizens. Many North Korean defectors admit to being shocked when they arrived in South Korea, and we'll tell you why. Enjoy doing something that's forbidden in North Korea by pressing the subscribe button and turning on your notifications. Food. Well, let's get the big, obvious difference out of the way. North Korea is facing its worst drought in 16 years and is undergoing huge food shortages. But while most of the country suffers, the wealthy elite living in Pyongyang do have a range of restaurants to choose from. These restaurants keep a low profile. Although prices might seem low at $7 to $10 per plate at a mid-range restaurant or $30 to $40 per plate for fine dining, keep in mind the average salary for a university professor in North Korea is 80 cents per month. North Korea actually has several restaurants outside of the country, but they force the workers to send back every penny, netting them about $10 million per year. Recently, it got so bad that 13 North Korean restaurant workers defected from their posts to South Korea. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the bar and restaurant scene is thriving, and it's not uncommon to see lines around the block for popular places. Diners there are known to be fickle and demand lots of options, so the restaurant industry is constantly faced with the need for creativity and high-quality dining options to satisfy their customers. Pop culture. We all know about the popular style of Korean pop music, better known as K-pop, coming out of South Korea. While they have a wide variety of bands that are worshipped by leagues of adoring fans, North Korea has musical groups as well. Just look at Moranbang Band, an all-female K-pop group whose members were all handpicked by Kim Jong-un. Their songs contain pop culture references and sing the praises of North Korea and its military prowess. In South Korea, the bands have more freedom to come up with new and shocking songs, such as when Six Bomb released Becoming Pretty, which is about plastic surgery procedures. They're so smug about how much better their music is in South Korea that they actually blast it at North Korea in addition to their anti-North Korea propaganda. North Korean citizens are banned from listening to this music, but many listen to it illegally despite the risks. Recently, they've been playing hit songs from bands such as G-Friend, A-Pink, and Bing Bang to try to entice North Korean citizens into defecting. For what it's worth, the Moranbang girls are indeed popular in North Korea, but it's not like the citizens have a lot of other choices when it comes to music. Entertainment. North Koreans are actually fairly big sports fans, and one of their 5 television channels is devoted to different athletic competitions. Although much like everything else they do in North Korea, the reality doesn't quite live up to the hype. In April 2017, North Korea's ice hockey team traveled to Auckland for an international tournament, and people were shocked at the poor quality of their equipment. Rather than letting them play with battered wooden sticks, they were provided with high-tech carbon fiber equipment to use for the game. Of course, due to international sanctions, the players weren't allowed to bring them back to North Korea after the games were over. Despite proclaiming to hate things from the West, North Korea loves basketball, and even Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un were notoriously huge fans. In South Korea, soccer and baseball are the most popular sports, but they enjoy a wide variety of different activities. They have many athletic facilities where people can play and train, instead of in North Korea where this is typically reserved for only the wealthy. Education. Education is important in South Korea, and 93% of all students graduate high school on time. In comparison, about 25% of all students in the United States fail to graduate high school. Education is considered extremely important in South Korea, and increasingly so. Even teachers are paid more than they are in the US, earning about 25% more than their overseas counterparts. Because of the societal pressure, most students spend their after-school time in private tutoring sessions. In North Korea, school is mandatory, and where you attend has to do with your social class. When you're a baby, you're assigned one of the 5 social classes, which will determine where you'll be allowed to live, where you will most likely end up working, and which schools you can go to. Unsurprisingly, much of what students learn in North Korea is mere propaganda, especially for those of low social class. Textbooks from overseas aren't allowed, and the ones made in North Korea are filled with factual errors. In terms of higher education, there's only one institution that offers bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees: Kim Il-sung University. Competition to get into the school is fierce, and only about 1 out of every 6 applicants is admitted. Fashion. Although it's hard to say that Kim Jong-un's rule has been an improvement over his father's, he does allow some stylistic freedom that had long been denied to the people in North Korea. For instance, shockingly enough, women can now wear pants. Okay, since they aren't allowed to wear blue jeans or have piercings, or have to pick from certain pre-approved haircuts, that's not too impressive. Any styles deemed as westernized are banned, and wearing them can mean ending up in a labor camp. To ensure that these rules are enforced, Kim Jong-un has inspection units of loyal citizens who prowl the streets just looking for someone breaking the fashion rules. While North Korea shuns Western influences, South Korea embraces them. Their sense of style is always evolving, and their unique blend of modern and traditional styles influences trends worldwide. Fashion is considered important in South Korean culture, and citizens use their eclectic and versatile styles to match their personal identities. Instead of standing out, people in North Korea desperately want to blend in. One former citizen recalls purchasing a pair of knee-high boots near the Chinese border and being immediately scorned by everyone in her village. Trivia time! There are a lot of rumors flying around about North Korea, and one of them is that they are shorter than people in South Korea. Is this a true fact, and if so, how much shorter are they? Keep watching for the answer. Nightlife. When it comes to nightlife, South Korea is hard to beat, especially in its capital of Seoul. Partying in North Korea means consuming copious amounts of alcohol, since people there drink more alcohol than anywhere else in the world. The average South Korean citizen drinks about 13.7 shots of alcohol per week, which is over twice as much as Russia's 6.3 shots and way above the United States' 3.3 shots. Their beverage of choice is a fermented rice spirit known as soju, and people in South Korea believe it pairs nicely with dance music. This country attracts big-name DJs and EDM festivals, and people love to go out at night and blow off steam. It's also possible to dance the night away in North Korea, as long as you're only visiting and you don't live there. The hotels only open to foreigners do have casinos and nightclubs, but locals aren't allowed in them. There are some bars in North Korea, but you're lucky if you can find one open past midnight, and you can forget about any dancing or singing. Apparently, singing and dancing during non-state-sponsored events is frowned upon. If you're interested in dancing and listening to music, you'll have to risk punishment at a private gathering hosted by trusted friends or family members. Transportation. You probably know that getting in or out of North Korea is a huge deal, but what about traveling around inside of the country? Citizens aren't allowed to simply pack up and leave for a weekend trip without consent, and private automobiles are rare. North Korea does have its own brand of vehicles called Pyeonghwa Motors, but most of them are around 80 or fewer horsepower. In comparison, the Toyota Camry produces 178 horses. Since these vehicles are expensive and fuel is rare, only the most wealthy of people use vehicles while everyone else relies on public transportation. To get around on a small scale, many Korean men use bicycles, while women are constantly being banned from the activity. Although unlike most North Korean edicts, it seems as though this one is rarely enforced, especially in rural areas. South Korea, of course, makes the popular brands Kia and Hyundai, and that's mostly what you'll see when you visit. Not only are their vehicles sturdy, but they have an incredible public transportation system that provides people with an extensive network of railways, bus routes, and ferry routes. Travel is not restricted for citizens, and they are the third country in the world to operate a commercial maglev train, which is high-speed and magnet-based. Internet. If you're not into travel, fashion, or nightlife, you probably spend a lot of time on the internet. If you're in South Korea, you're in luck because this country has the fastest internet speed in the world. South Korea has an average connection speed of 29 megabits per second, while the United States doesn't even make it into the top 10 countries with a paltry 15.3 megabits per second. People in South Korea live in densely populated areas, making it easier to deliver high internet speeds to large groups of people. 92.4% of people in South Korea have internet access, and the government puts a lot of resources into its internet speeds and making it accessible to everyone. Meanwhile, North Korea has some of the slowest internet speeds in the entire world, clocking in at 2 megabits per second. This means that even if people in North Korea could watch Netflix, they definitely wouldn't be able to stream anything. Being able to afford a computer in North Korea is rare, and so is getting government permission to own one. After paying large sums of money and waiting eagerly for your paperwork to be approved, you'll be able to slowly look at less than 30 government-approved websites on the North Korean internet. Dating. Since they clearly can't rely on online dating, how do people date in North Korea? Needless to say, the government promotes love for their country over love for individuals, but people still manage to fall for one another. Their attitudes towards love tend to be conservative, and they're forced to adhere to traditional values. Teenagers aren't allowed to date openly, but many do so in secret. Despite these blossoming teenage romances, a 10-year compulsory military service means that marriage has to wait until later in life for most people in North Korea. After being in the military for so long, long, most people in North Korea feel burnt out and agree to marry whoever their parents set them up with. In South Korea, it's also all about who you know, and meeting people organically is pretty uncommon unless you have a mutual friend. However, in South Korea, you don't have to worry about hiding your relationship. In fact, couples can't wait to flaunt their love and will even wear matching clothing to show off. But when it comes time to marry, most people in South Korea view the union as one between two families, and so choosing an appropriate partner can be a family affair. Travel destinations. Once you manage to find a date in South Korea, there are tons of great places you can go together. There are plenty of excellent zoos featuring a wide variety of international animals. If you're looking for more of a thrill, there are also a wide variety of amusement parks, including Lotte World. This major recreation complex in Seoul is the world's largest indoor theme park and features an amusement park on an artificial island, shopping malls, a hotel, a museum, sports facilities, and a theater. Each year, about 7.3 million people visit this incredible place. Now, North Korea has a zoo featuring exotic animals such as dogs. No, we're not kidding, they literally have exhibits featuring different dogs. They had to do something after people protested about their entertaining monkey that smoked cigarettes, which we also wish we were joking about. North Korea does have several water and theme parks, but most people who have visited describe them as both creepy and deserted. Not only are these places poorly built and maintained, but most people in North Korea couldn't afford to visit even if they wanted to. Are people in North Korea really shorter than their South Korean counterparts? Due to malnutrition in North Korea and economic success in South Korea, people in the north are about 3 inches shorter. Now that you've learned a bit more about the differences between North Korea and South Korea, we want to know which you'd rather visit. Let us know if you'd rather visit the strange and insular North Korea or sip some soju in South Korea. Before you start making travel plans, be sure to like this video and subscribe to The Richest for more. See you next time!